or if you think you might have missed something, you can go back and review it. It'll be uploaded to our District 12 4-H YouTube, and I will also be emailing it out tomorrow. If you have questions at any point throughout this, feel free to put it in the chat or come off mute and ask the questions, or you can send me an email after. But let's get going. So we're going to be going over the Texas 4-H Opportunity Scholarship, and before we really dive into the scholarship itself, I want to kind of touch base on what are some of the different degrees that you can pursue, the benefits of college, how you apply for the scholarship, and what financial support is out there as well. So when looking at your degree opportunities, there is, of course, technical, associates, and bachelor's. And your technical is going to be that 10 to 16th month certification that you are specifically looking at a skill set for your career path. And the examples of this can be a chef, a welder, dental assistant, things like that. Your associates and bachelor's is where you get into your higher education, associates being your 2-year degree path, and it's where you're going to go to either transfer to a 4-year university to get your bachelor's, or that you just want to choose a career path to gain a skill or more knowledge, such as maybe a nurse, a business administrator, IT, graphic design, those kinds of things. And then, of course, that bachelor's is where you go to a 4-year university, and then you get a major or degree, and that's something that you might become a teacher, a county agent, an engineer, or an accountant. So once you've chosen kind of your higher education career path, then it's time to look at financial support, of course. And there are 3 different types. Of course, there is earned, which I say is scholarships on campus jobs or off campus jobs, whatever it may be. And then there is also free, which is going to be your internships, grants, work studies that help pay for your college as well. And then there's borrowed, which will be your student and parent loans, federal, state, and private. But today we're going to be, of course, looking at the Texas 4-H Opportunity Scholarship and going more in depth into that. So what available scholarships are out there for the Texas 4-H Scholarship is a baccalaureate application. This is going to be if you're pursuing an associate's or bachelor's degree, you'll apply here. Some of the requirements do require you to be in that top quarter of your class, but if you're not in the top quarter, you are still eligible to apply for a baccalaureate scholarship. So don't let that deter you. Technical is if you're pursuing that technical certification. However, you cannot have any plans to pursue a higher education level after your technical at that time you apply and receive the scholarship. So keep that in mind. If you're going to be pursuing that 2 to 4-year degree, associates or bachelor's, you need to apply to the baccalaureate. And then courageous heart is if you have overcome any type of obstacle, and then have that written documentation of the obstacle that you've overcome with a maximum award of $5,000. You can also only apply to one of these applications. You cannot apply to all 3. So you have to choose one and go from there. So things to consider when getting started and after you've selected which application you're going to go into. And this is for juniors and seniors that are on the call listening. Go ahead and start now. And I don't necessarily mean start the application. I mean, start getting organized and recording everything you can, for sure. That way it's documented, and when you start to apply for scholarships, it's there and it's organized, and you can quickly go through your files to apply. If you are a senior, this is going to apply to you a little bit more if you're applying this year. You need to start having a conversation with your county extension agent and your counselor. Your county agent and your counselor both have to sign off on verification forms for your GPA and your 4-H career. So have that conversation before the application opens up on November 1st, so they're aware and then they can work with you on those forms. Next is going to be review. Do not think at any point during this you can just type everything out one time and it's good enough to submit. Have multiple eyes on your application, reviewing it, giving you tips, critiquing to be the best it can be. And of course, don't put all of your eggs into one basket. Make sure you're applying to multiple scholarships outside of the Texas 4-H Foundation scholarship as well. And for those that are just hopping on, if you have questions at any point, feel free to put them in the chat or come off mute and ask them as we go. And if you think of something past this training or tomorrow, feel free to email me at any point for me to answer your questions. So going into the 4-H Opportunity Scholarship and to know a little bit more of the background, the Texas 4-H Youth Development Foundation is the one that is awarding the scholarship. So I do want to make it clear at this point that the Texas 4-H Youth Development State Office does work with the foundation in regards of making sure that you're an eligible 4-H member and are in good standing. However, Texas 4-H Youth Development State Office does not determine who receives a scholarship or what the award amount is. That is left up to the foundation and through that application and judging process. So keep that in mind. This year, they are going to award about $2.7 million at the Texas 4-H Roundup Scholarship Assembly in June. They will be giving about 225 scholarships. Last year, they did 232. It mainly depends on how many people apply each year. As a reminder, the Texas 4-H scholarship is academic based. There is some weight to the 4-H experience, but your academic record is also weighted in that and your financial need. Again, do not let that deter you in applying, because you still can be eligible to get a scholarship even if you're in the third, fourth quartile of your ranking. So the 2026 changes. Previously, the Terry Scholarship, if you were awarded the Terry Scholarship, you were not eligible, and you are still not eligible, but they're adding the TOMA Scholarship to that. The reason being, if you receive the Terry or TOMA Scholarship, you are given a full ride to cover your college education. So they want to make sure that they're giving financial support to someone that does not have that opportunity. Again, they will be requiring your county extension agent verification form to be uploaded, and that will be on the applicant to upload before the deadline of February 15th. And that is the deadline of when your application is due. The ACT and SAT is not required this year. However, for 2027, and if you have a junior on the call or you're listening, because I know some signed up for it, I would go ahead and take the ACT and SAT for the possibility that it will be required in 2027, just to make sure that you're not behind if it is. If you're selected for an interview, you are required to be in College Station April 24th through the 26th. This is a first come, first serve process. So I know a lot of people throughout the state of Texas, each district has a district contest on this weekend. Work with your district specialist, and also make sure you're one of the first people on the portal to sign up for an interview. That way you're selecting a time that you can participate if that affects you in the district contest, along with participating in the interview if you're selected. If you're chosen to receive a scholarship, you do have to attend the banquet at Texas 4-H Roundup. That will be June 3rd through the 4th. If you are not planning to attend Texas 4-H Roundup for the banquet, please do not apply for the Texas 4-H scholarship. And I say this from the foundation because if you are awarded the amount, they cannot change who that is awarded to. So you forfeit the scholarship, and the foundation forfeits having the opportunity for a donor to provide financial support to another applicant. So please make sure that you have June 3rd and June 4th blocked off as well to go to Roundup. Collegiate scholarships will not be awarded in 2026, and going forward, they do not plan to award any more collegiate scholarships. And we will be continuing to award one $30,000 scholarship that will be based off the top ranking scholars, and they'll be invited back the following week of the April 24th, 26th for a virtual interview instead of in person. So some of the major scholarship donor criteria, and this is mainly going towards the major livestock shows, and they're not the only donors that provide scholarships or donations to have the financial support for scholarships, but they are the major donors. Some things to keep in mind, they do have their own requirements. So we'll go over those as well, but do not deter you if you are not in the top half or quarter of your class from applying, because you're still eligible to receive a scholarship. But Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo does require you to be in that top quarter. You do not have to have a specific major or GPA or participate in the show to be eligible to receive that scholarship. Rodeo Austin, you also have to be in the top quarter. No specific major, but your GPA does have to be 90% or higher, and you have to participate in the show as well. And by participation, I do not mean that you have to show a livestock project in their major livestock show. All that is required is that you have participated. So that could be in a livestock judging contest or arts and crafts show, any means of that nature, just as an FYI. Fort Worth Stock Show Syndicate is the top half of your class. You do have to be major specific in this with agriculture and life science major. And then no GPA is required and you don't have to participate in the show. But for the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo, you do have to participate in the show and be in that top quarter as well. So general requirements outside of the major donor criteria, you have to be a current and active member in Texas 4-H for at least 2 of the last 3 years. But you also have to have a minimum of 3-year participation in Texas 4-H as well. So you could have participated in 3rd grade for 1 year, and then your junior and senior year, you are at least active the last 2 of the 3 years. You also need to be a United States citizen, a Texas resident, and then scheduled to graduate Texas high school from the 2025 to 2026. I also want to add at this point, if you are graduating December of 2025, please send me an email separately so we can work with the Texas Foundation office to see if you're eligible still for the scholarship to apply, but also make sure, because they're working on that from a case-by-case basis, and make sure that you're meeting the criteria as well with the transcripts and all those that are necessary from a counselor. But again, just email me that separately and we can work through that. You'll have to be accepted into a Texas college and university by the time of the interview, so that'll be in April again. And then you must submit a completed transcript showing 3.5 years of coursework with grades. So this is again a reminder to work with your counselor to make sure when you return from school in January after your Christmas break that you are getting that transcript to be uploaded into the portal with those December or fall grades on there. Some more general eligibility. You'll have to complete and pass all standardized tests that are required for graduation in the school. You'll also have to meet all entrance requirements to the college or university you have applied to. You'll submit the scholarship application in the Texas 4-H scholarship portal. And then you'll be required to upload a transcript, your FAFSA information, your county agent verification form, your GPA verification form, which will come from your counselor, and then your Courageous Heart letters of recommendation as well, and that obstacle letter if you're applying to Courageous Heart. As a general reminder, and I will say this as we go through the actual application, once you have submitted the application, you are not allowed to update it anymore. And the Texas 4-H office or foundation office does not send back your application. So once you hit submit, there is no undoing it. So please make sure that when you're certifying, submitting at the very end, that you have done everything you need to make sure that that's your best work that's getting uploaded. Basic scholarship requirements. So this is after you've been awarded the scholarship if selected. You do have to maintain a 2.0 GPA throughout college. You'll have to be enrolled as a full-time student, so that's at least 12 credit hours at a Texas university or college. You'll send an update letter to the donor each semester, and then there will be separate deadlines and reporting that will come with that from the Texas 4-H Foundation office each semester, such as providing your transcript, your class schedule, credit hours, all of that fun stuff. So going into FAFSA. For those that don't know, FAFSA is already opened. FAFSA opened on October 1, so you can go ahead and start this process. Check the box for the Texas 4-H Opportunity Scholarship. But this, if you don't and want to postpone, you must have it completed by January 31st. And this is what's going to generate what used to be known as the SAR report. It's called the FAFSA Summary Submission Report. And this is the document that you'll upload into the Texas 4-H portal. I've just put like a general reminder in here about watching studentaid.gov. Last year, there was a lot of maintenance that happened around December on the Student Aid website that you can apply for FAFSA. The website was closed down, so just make sure that you're keeping an eye on that if you plan to postpone applying for your FAFSA application. That way that you don't fall behind or miss the deadline of being completed by January 31st. And lastly, You'll also be getting a preliminary SAI number, and you can screenshot that for your own records, but you'll also be typing that number into the portal as well. And this used to be known as the EFC number, but it's stating how much the family can contribute financially to the education of that individual that is completing the FAFSA information. So the 2026 application to actually apply, it is completely online. You can, however, download the questions and put them into a Word document so you can begin to work on them, and then copy and paste some of them into the text box / upload the Word document into different portions of the application. I do encourage that. That way that you can edit, or maybe have other eyes that can edit, and then you can go through there and make sure it's the best that it can be. Because those text boxes are really small, and then you have to scroll through them. So it just might be a little more organized and easier for you to look at. There are also application instructions available on the Texas 4-H Foundation website, which I'll show you where to go and look for those. But it also should be available at your county extension office. But if not, I'll give you all the information where you can find it. The items needed to complete the application. I added this slide this year because I got a question multiple times about needing a 4-H record book to apply for the Texas 4-H scholarship. And you do not need the Texas 4-H record book to apply. You do not need it at all. However, if you have it, you will notice that there are some parts of the Texas 4-H record book that overlap with the 4-H scholarship that you can utilize on the application. So if you do have it, it is a great tool for you to utilize. I also encourage that you go over the Texas 4-H guidelines just to make sure that you've got everything that they require. Double check yourself. That way you're not disqualified or losing points out somewhere that you don't need to. You'll need an official high school transcript that is either sealed or has the original signature of your counselor or principal. And if you're homeschooled, this is going to be whoever your administrator is. So whoever's administrating your coursework, whether that's in a co-op or at home. You'll have to get your FAFSA submission summary with that SAI number as well. Then the county extension verification form that the applicant will be uploading, and then the GPA verification form that the counselor fills out separately. Okay, important dates. If you've not taken any notes yet, these are what I suggest that you at least write down. Again, I am recording this for you to look back through if, for some reason you think you missed out on something. But January 31st is going to be the FAFSA application deadline. February 15th is the actual scholarship deadline. Texas 4-H Foundation does not allow for any extensions. So, as I said, make sure that you're accurate when you do hit the submission button, but also make sure that you hit the submission button and it doesn't say incomplete on February 16th as well. Early April, your interview notifications will be emailed out to you if you're selected. April 24th through the 26th is those interviews in person in College Station. And then June 3rd through the 4th is going to be the banquet and assembly for the awarding of your scholarship. And then those that did qualify for the $30,000 scholarship will be asked that following week after the 24th and 26th of April to participate in a virtual interview. So a little bit more about the process of how the Texas 4-H program works alongside from what you see as the 4-H member. So once the scholarship is released, of course, the 4-H member does begin that process on November 1 of going through the application. But after you submit it, that's when the application gets pulled in the Texas 4-H Foundation office. And what they do is they go through and sift through everybody's application, download every form, organize it, and get it ready for judging. There's about a 2 to 3 week period of judging of applications, and each application gets 5 judges assigned to it. From there, the highest score and the lowest score is dropped, and then the 3 in the middle are taken together and averaged. After that, the interview notifications get sent out. Of course, the 4-H member participates in an interview. They're notified of their scholar selection, and then they go to the scholarship banquet and presentation. The award amount, and I'll touch base on this later, is also based on the ranking of the scores across all candidates, just so you know. So the higher the score, of course, they're going to partner you with a higher amount received. The donor verification and financial support will come after the scholarship and banquet. They want to make sure you meet all your requirements after that June 4th before they can send you over the contracts, the thank you notes to be completed, and then guarantee payment to that college and university. So this is the scoring system broken down. The district specialist advocated this year for the foundation office to break down scores so that the applicant knows what the points look like between each of the different scholarship application and how much you know of each points are going to each section. So as you can see, the baccalaureate and technical have a little more emphasis on the 4-H experience along with that grade point average, as Courageous Heart is a little bit more about your financial struggle or whatever obstacle that you've overcome. This is also going to be in the guidelines and sent out as well. I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew this was here so you can use it as a rubric too. Do we have any questions before we start getting into the 4-H portal / application portion? Okay, I didn't see anybody come off mute, so I'm going to keep going. So when getting started, the scholarship page looks like this when you're about to log in, your email address and password. My suggestion here, because just from what I've seen on the Google form of signing up for the training, this cannot be the parent contact information. As a reminder, this has to be the applicant's information. So if you do not have as the applicant an email address that is not associated with your high school, I suggest that you go ahead and create an email and make sure that it is professional, because this will also be how you communicate with your donors and the Texas 4-H Foundation office if you're selected, but when you create your account. So please make sure it's not your high school email, because that'll be deactivated after you graduate. It's an email that you'll check and an email you'll use that is also not your parent. Also new this year, after you've created your portal, there is an eligibility quiz. This quiz is taken before. You'll see that it says eligibility quiz for the scholarship. Disregard the professional development and the Texas 4-H Foundation County Grant Program. All you need to focus on is the eligibility quiz. This is to ensure that you have talked to your county extension agent prior to starting the process, so they know that they're there to help you and verify that your application is true, along with being in good standing in 4-H. So after you click the check eligibility button, there's only going to be one question that auto-populates, and it's have you emailed your county agent? Yes or no. Please make sure you're being truthful. I know that you're probably thinking there's no way to verify this, but once you've started your application, the Texas 4-H office or foundation office is going to be contacting county agents of updated statuses on who in their county is applying or who is even looking into the application or started that process. So please make sure that you have reached out to your county agent, and then you'll hit submit eligibility. From there, you'll click the apply button in the top left corner, and it'll auto-populate your Courageous Heart, your baccalaureate, and your technical scholarship. Again, you can only apply for one, so just click the apply button for which one that you're interested in, and you should go into a portal that looks like this with your contact information and getting started. The one feature I did want to point out, a Collaborate tool. This is an opportunity for your parents or a teacher, or maybe you have a college counselor within your school or your county agent, that you can add their email here to come in and view your application and edit it or help you out and read through it. So that is a feature that you can utilize. As District 12 specialist, I do offer an opportunity for me to review each of the applications if you would like. However, I don't use the collaboration tool. I have a different submission form because it's a little bit easier for me to work with the documents and helping you in that nature. So we're going to get into the application sections of what's required in each portion. So in section 1, you'll have personal information as very basic. The one thing I do want to note here is under the applicant unique identifier. Whatever your identifier is, which it has an example of what you need to follow, that is how you're going to save every one of your documents that you upload. So for example, all of my documents would state GH0061. And that would be how I upload each one of them in the portal. You do not save your documents as Grace Henneke, Live Oak County, wherever you're from or wherever you live. Make sure you're saving it as your first name initial, last name initial, and then the last four of your social security. The phonetic spelling, I also want to add, this is what they use to read your name at assembly at Texas 4-H Roundup. So if you think there's even a chance that they're going to mess up your name or have a hard time pronouncing it, I would use the phonetic spelling for sure. Also, do not be discouraged about, are you applying to the Texas FFA Scholarship at the bottom? That's just to ensure for our major donors like Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo that they're not giving duplicate scholarships to the same people that might be awarded the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo Scholarship and FFA, as if in the 4-H world. But you're still eligible to apply. Section 1B is general demographic information. And then 1C as you're going to be your district and county information. And this is where you'll upload that county extension agent verification form. Again, it does have a reminder, do not wait until the last minute to get this uploaded. Start talking to your county agent now. You can download the form here, but if you get confused on that process, I can also show you where to download it at the end of this, and then you'll upload that file too. On here is section 2 is your college and university information. For those that will be or are already accepted to a university, all you need to fill out is your first choice college university. You do not have to fill out this second choice, and it shouldn't count against you in any way if you do not fill out the second choice. If you're unsure at the time of the submission that you have not been accepted anywhere, but you have applied, you can fill out your first choice and your second choice of where you want to go. Again, if let's say for some reason both of these colleges do not accept you into their program, work with the Texas 4-H Foundation office and confirm where you were accepted to, which college and university you were accepted to at that time. And that will be more towards the interviews after the application has already been completed and due. Section 3 is going to be that livestock show participation. Again, that's just verifying if you participated in Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo and then Rodeo Austin, so that it's an easy list to pull for those donors. And then this is where on section 4, you're going to upload that high school official transcript that again has to have the signature of your counselor or principal or the administrator if you're homeschool. And then it needs to make sure that you also have that 3.5 years of coursework. So that includes your fall semester of grades. In section 5, this is going to be your ranking and GPA verification. So all the applicant needs to do at this point is put the email of your principal, your counselor, or your administrator. And this is the sample email that they will get, so you can read through it and hit compose email. An automatic email will be sent to them, and this is what it looks like. It just verifies where you go to school, what your ranking is, your GPA is, all of that stuff, what their title is, and that they're certifying that, yes, it's correct, and what you're uploading, this is where you're standing in a class ranking. I also encourage, along with talking to your county agent early, that you're also talking to your counselor or your principal or your administrator from homeschool. That way they know that they need to fill this out between that January 1 or whenever you return to school and that February 15th deadline. Because if they don't fill it out, then you're disqualified from the foundation scholarship. So it has to be done by that February 15th deadline. Well, I didn't say this earlier, but as a reminder, every 7 days, an email will be sent to them until they complete it. You will be notified on this third party little doodad that says 0 out of 1 complete. It'll say 1 out of 1 complete once they have finished that. They'll also stop getting emails once they have completed that step, and they should get a follow-up of what was submitted to. That way it's there for their records. If for some reason they may be going to junk or whatever, that's why I encourage you to kind of go and follow up with them. Make sure that you have the right email if they're not getting it, those kind of things. Just make sure you're in communication with them. Section 6 is going to be that financial information where you're going to upload FAFSA, and then we get into the fun stuff, which is your first narrative. And it's going to be over financial need. So I'll show you an example of what that portion looks like on the next slide. But you're going to provide the SAI number of what is planned that your parents or your family can contribute to your education. As a reminder, FAFSA takes 3 to 4 weeks. It is open right now, so you can go ahead and start that process of applying to the FAFSA portal and getting that information back before the scholarship opens. It also will let you know what you're eligible for, such as financial aid, grants, or loans. And I'll provide the link in the email, but it is written here if you need to know where the FAFSA website is. It's also on the studentaid.gov website. Getting into the narrative portion, I'm going to go to this. So this portion does not allow you to upload a document. You do have to put it into the text box. And there is a character limit. What I will say before we start getting into the narratives is try to get as close to the character limit as you can. That is just something I've always heard. It helps them to know that you're actually trying. You're not just writing one sentence that says, I deserve a Texas 4-H scholarship because I've been in 4-H for 9 years or whatever it may be. So this is an opportunity to really start connecting with the judge and explaining who you are. They do recommend that no point you put your name in the narrative because they do have to go through and cross out everybody's name. They want it to stay anonymous with the judges. And do not put I need or I deserve in this part any point. This is an opportunity for you to tell them what the financial burden is on your family that is causing concerns about your future education. And I know when people automatically think about, okay, financial need, I'm thinking like medical situations, taking care of family members, some big obstacle, right? They also want to hear about, okay, I have an older sibling that's in college that my parents are helping pay for their education. Well, that's a financial burden. Or the cost of a college tuition. Well, that's financial burden too. Put all of those things in there. If your family owns a family-owned business, and maybe they've taken a hit in the past year, I'm specifically thinking of the cotton industry right now, where they're producing the supply, but the demand's not there. That's also a financial burden on the family. So really think about big picture. Would you have to go get a job if you're in college, if you're not awarded some financial assistance? Think about all those things of what would impact your financial situation when you get to college. In section 7, we start getting into the 4-H area. So we're going to go through projects, leadership, roles, honors, citizenship, community service, and then of course your outside of 4-H experience, and some things that can help, because a lot of this, if you've completed a record book before, is copy paste from the record book with a little updating / formatting changes. If you've applied to any other awards or scholarships, you can also utilize those applications here. And then any other personal records that you may have to keep documenting for each of these sections. I do want to stress, and I stressed this last year, but the Foundation Office is stressing it this year, on each of these sections, focus more on quality than quantity. Make sure that when we're going through each section, you're focusing more on the quality of the importance and what it means to you and the accomplishments you've had versus trying to fill all 15 spots and they have little to no meaning throughout the application or to you. So again, keep in mind quality, not quantity. So in the 4-H projects, which is the first portion of the 4-H side, you'll be able to list up to 4 projects. Now, again, you do not have to do all 4 projects. You can select one and fill up a whole page for it. But you do have up to 4. You're going to describe the years you're involved, knowledge and skills gained, the scope of your activity, anything that was related to the project. So if you participated in demonstrations, talks, tours, interviews, anything that pertained to that project, you'll put in this section. And then As a note, this is not just the previous 4 years either. This is your full 4-H career. So if you've been showing cattle since you were in 3rd grade or even Clover Kid, this is the full 4-H career that you can put all this information in here. It does not have to be just the past 4 years. And then the biggest part, which is going to come from the quality, is you're going to describe what the importance and impact was of your involvement in this project. So I do have examples on each of these just to give you some ideas, because this is a point where you can upload a file instead of just putting it in a text box. I do want to add too that it is 8-point font or larger, and it must fit into 1 page. However, there is no margin requirement. So if you need to expand from the 1-inch margin, because you have a lot of information that needs to go in there, you have all means of necessary of doing that. So this is one example of the 4-H projects. This particular individual put the important projects at the top and then went to the second important, then third, then fourth. Again, it's just the table. It lists everything out that they have contributed to each of the projects. I do have a second example on this one. This is just a little bit different of a format, and I'm sorry if there's some blanks. I tried to limit out any type of location or names on there that would identify who they are. But they put like their project scope and impact on one side and then their growth and knowledge on the other, just to kind of give you some ideas to get you going. Okay, next is going to be 4-H leadership roles. On here, you can list up to 20 major leadership roles. This will include your volunteer, promotion, elected, or appointed. You'll list out the role and the responsibility and briefly describe what the importance is and the impact that you had overall on yourself and other people around you as well. This is, again, going to be focused on quality and not quantity. So in this specific section, I'm referencing that if you're a Texas Livestock Youth Ambassador, do not list out, I'm a livestock ambassador from 2021 to 2022, 2022 to 2023, and so forth. Just put 21 to 2025 Texas Livestock Youth Ambassador. That helps compact it all, and it also gives you more space if you need it, instead of putting them out and making it look like that you have more there than should be. Again, quality, not quantity. So here is another example, because you can upload. This is same format table. Again, they put the years. They did do this one in chronological order, what their role was, involvement, and then their roles and responsibilities as well. And then I thought I had a second one, but I did not. The next one's on honors. So just to give you some ideas, and you can upload that as well here. On honors, it's going to be your top 4 major honors. This also was an issue this past year that Texas 4-H Foundation noticed, that people were listing out in their honors that they won Grand Champion steer, and I'm just picking on myself from my 4-H experience, nothing specifically District 12, but that they won Grand Champion for 3 years. Well, instead of putting Grand Champion all in one text box, Grand Champion steer all in one text box, they or need to probably compile it, instead of listing them all out. So I'll show you an example on that as well. And here you're going to put the role or the year, what your honor was. So they had the Texas Livestock Youth and Agriculture Ambassador here, what level it was served on, and then the importance of it as well. So kind of keep that in mind. You can list up to multiple years instead of listing everything out of what is important to you. And I think a big thing there on focusing on the honors too is the significance towards your personal development. Not necessarily, it felt great that you won the county livestock show, but what did that do towards your personal development? 4-H citizenship and community service, you do have the opportunity to list up to 15 different sections here on it. Again, quality, not quantity, but you're going to describe the activities, their importance, and then what impact that you had on other people. And I really want to stress that you focus the impact on other people, not just towards your personal development in citizenship and community service. So here's another table of an example just to help you brainstorm. I did help this person kind of expand more on the roles and responsibilities / their duties and accomplishments to kind of go more towards their overall impact on other people in this section. So again, keep in mind, what impact and importance do you have on those around you instead of just personal development? And then outside 4-H experience, as if you have not told enough about yourself in the 4-H world, we also ask what you have done on the outside of that. This is just going to be any type of honors, activities, leadership, volunteering, community service that you may have. And I saw multiple variations of how to put this together in an uploaded file this past year. And it's totally up to you on how you think and your mind works and how you want to process that. So this is the first example. They followed the same guidelines that was asked in each of the 4-H different areas. So the personal impact on development, the impact on others, and they broke it down by each of the 4-H different areas too for their outside of 4-H experience in a big chart. However, we also did have this past year where they gave a summary of what they did within the organization and then any awards that were tied to them or any accomplishments that they did through that organization. And you can do that as well. It's, again, however your brain processes and whatever makes it feel good to you that you're putting it on the paper and that you're expressing everything you need to. Okay, personal narrative. Well, do we have any questions before we get into the narrative? I know I've been talking a lot, almost 45 minutes. Okay, nobody came off mute. Going into the personal narrative, this is the time to explain to the judge who you are. I know that we have asked you to fill in all these sections about what you've done in 4-H, but this is the time to do absolutely everything about you. So anything personal that you feel is important of why you deserve this scholarship, any important facts that you need to highlight, how 4-H has helped you to be in the future, the greatest things that you'll take away from 4-H. But overall, they want to know who you are and why you're deserving of this scholarship. So you'll put that information here. Again, get as close to that character count as you can, and do not include your name in the narrative. They already have to take your name out if they see it in there. And so if you want to make sure that your narrative flows good together and that nobody's editing it by taking your name out, just do a double check, control find, make sure that you haven't put anything in there that is referencing your name yourself. Career narrative is going to be the next portion. It's how you have prepared yourself for college. This is going to be what college, university you want to go to, what conversations you have you done college tours, what career opportunities have you taken advantage of, any experiences that you've had. And I love to always put this out here too. A negative experience that you've had, even in a work profession, such as like I went and was a part of a vet office for a summer, and I learned after that summer I did not want to be a vet growing up. You can put that information here. It's experiences that have influenced you to go down the career path that you have chosen. It also will cover how you've decided between a technical certification versus a bachelor's degree or vice versa. So that's kind of what your career narrative is. And again, get as close to that character count as you can when explaining this. And then finally, on section 8, this is going to be the acknowledgement of your application before you hit submit. I encourage that you, before you hit that button that you agree certified submit application, double check that everything is completed, everything's uploaded, because again, once you hit submit, you cannot go back and edit at any point. And the Texas 4-H Foundation office does not send it back at any point. So please just double check before you hit the submit button. Application reviews and assistance, and then I'm almost done, and I have a few resources to show you, and then we'll open it up for questions again. But your county agent does get to review your application if they ask. They have the right to request that to make sure your information is accurate. They also are required to fill out the county extension agent form, but it is the application or applicant's responsibility to send that email to the agent along with follow up that they sign the form, return it to you, and then you upload the form. So again, encouraging you to contact your agent now and start that conversation process so that they know, and it's not until the last minute. There is that opportunity to add a collaborator. I do encourage you to add your county agent as a collaborator, and just so that they can help you. Maybe they have some ideas, or maybe they remember something about your 4-H tenure that you are not thinking about to help you out there. And it's good set of eyes to kind of review the application that's outside of mom, dad, and the applicant itself. I did touch base on this. As the District 12 4-H specialist, I do offer starting November 1, if you get your whole application kind of finished or starting then, you can submit your portions of your application to me, and I will review them and provide critiques and edits for you as well. I do have a hard deadline though of January 15th, 2026. That gives me a month to review everybody's applications and then get them back to you before the deadline. So going over some helpful tips, and then I'll just show you a couple things. Start early. I suggest go ahead and getting into that FAFSA application starting now because it is open. Brainstorm and start gathering information. You have about 17 days before the application opens. You can start gathering that information, having it ready to start tackling each portion of this. Make sure you follow the instructions and read the guidelines, because that's an easy way to get disqualified from the application portal, or not portal, but from the judges or when they're pulling your information. So just double check that everything is correct. Ask several people to critique and review your application. And if at any point you put not applicable, that means no score. So I suggest putting something in every section. That way you avoid losing out on complete points. Again, quality is better than quantity, is what I will say. This is a competitive academic scholarship process. An application is competing against a pool of applicants across the state, not just within your county or district. Applicants change each year, and so do judges. So just because it worked last year, or you know somebody or a sibling that might have been awarded $20,000, does not necessarily mean what they did on their application will work for this year. So just make sure you're putting your best foot forward, and you're putting your own unique twist on it. There are no quotas. This used to be something previously that were set from the counties, district, and regions. There are no more quotas for that. The Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo Austin is the only livestock show that requires participation in their show. And again, that's not by showing an animal. That's just participation in general, as in a contest or participating in the arts and crafts show, those kinds of things. Make sure your high school academic proficiency has been met and your college entrance exams have already been taken early and often. Each applicant will receive a total score. Again, that will correlate or match with the maximum dollar scholarship that the applicant qualifies for. The donors set the criteria. Again, the Texas 4-H Foundation does have some criteria to be met just to make sure that you are a 4-H member in good standing. However, most of the criteria is set by the donors and the donors on the foundation board. Scholarships restricted to a major, a college, and a course studied is verified each year. So if you say that you're going to be getting an ag and life science degree for the Fort Worth Stock Show Syndicate and you lied on it, they will find out and it will catch up to you. So please make sure that you're being honest on your application. Narratives that have only been written once are rarely effective. Please plan for any computer crash outs as well. I would share your document, if you have a Word document, with many people every time you update it. That way there's copies everywhere in case your computer crashes or if for some reason you can't get access to that file on your computer. Also be in contact with your high school counselor because they need time to collect the official transcripts, probably not only for you, but for multiple people within the school. And then this is just a reminder of the timelines on everything. I'm gonna leave this here and I'm gonna open it up for questions. And if I see none, I'll just go into showing everybody resources. Okay, no questions. So the first resource I wanted to show, this is the Texas 4-H Youth Development Foundation website. This is their homepage. Just go. I suggest just clicking on scholarships, none of the information that's down here. And then it'll pull up how to apply along with their deadlines that need to be met, guidelines, the portal, and then that verification form for you to download as well. And then it does a little general tidbit on what each of the scholarships are. And then for District 12, if you go to the home page, under contests and events, the Texas 4-H Opportunity Scholarship Resource tab is located here. There is a password on it that I will be sharing to each of you. I will also be uploading all of the examples that I provided. And then the training, the recording and presentation will be here too for you to review, but I probably won't get that uploaded until tomorrow at some point. But at this point, that is all I have. Does anybody have any questions? If not, thank you for attending, but I will be hanging out in case you do.